yesterday.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm going to give a few more seconds here just to get some bodies on board. It's a rainy old day here in Cape Breton. How's the weather over on your side today, Marie?
Well, it was pretty windy. We went over and took a look at those seals you were showing us yesterday, and they're still bobbing about. They're living. They're all right.
Yeah,
We saw 5.
You saw 5? Oh yeah, I sent the video, and there was 13 of them bouncing all around in the video. And of course, I go over there, and I barely seen one, but at least I seen. So, good morning, guys. We've got a little handful of you on right now, and we're going to start with a 1 minute and 22-second video. I want to give you a little background on the company that we're talking about today, because we're not going to talk about anything that hasn't already been said by somebody that works there or somebody that's written an article or a news story on them. So let's go ahead and share that.
So New Dawn Enterprises started in 1976 for 2 reasons. The first was to be able to offer services to the community that weren't being offered by either government or the private sector. And the second reason was Cape Breton had a long history of dependency, first on coal and steel, and then on a lot of the federal government programs. And New Dawn really wanted to begin a conversation about creating a much more self-reliant and consequently more vibrant community and island. New Dawn is comprised of a number of different divisions, and they all address a particular community need. So we have New Dawn Real Estate, New Dawn Healthcare, New Dawn Guest Home, New Dawn Investments, which raises local capital for local businesses, the New Dawn Center for Social Innovation, and the Cape Breton Island Center for Immigration. Being a social enterprise allows us to always put the community's interest first.
All right. So being a social enterprise, Erica Shea said that they always like to put the local communities first. Now I've got something else I'd like to share. So we'll remove this just for now. We're going to get back to it. But because they always put the local community's interest first, bear with me. I get back to where I need to go. So we're going to reshare. Hold on. I'm going to stop that one. Present something different. So it's important that I share to you. I'm going to the North End Heritage Group, and with the North End Heritage Group, there's something important in there. It's responses to how they've been addressed on social media from Erica Shea herself. Okay, so God love them. Yesterday, they had to rest in peace their green space. All right, because they tried to save it. The local community really did their best to try to save their green space, and they've fought hard with New Dawn. Okay, so here we have a North End Heritage, a part 2 respond from Erica at New Dawn. So to respond, yes, we are fully aware that New Dawn is private property and you inherited the exemption from the Heritage District. This exemption should not entitle you to ignore and not acknowledge what is done to this space and immediate direct impact and on the fabric and the overall aesthetic of the Heritage District. So right off the bat, the North End group got together. They have 243 plus, and this is a community made up of mostly seniors, and the majority of them probably got a Facebook account just so that they could help stop what's going on with New Dawn. Yeah. They didn't want this development in their area. They didn't want their heritage park removed. They didn't want their trees removed. Those trees were over 100 years old. Those were also marked off to be removed. I'm not sure if they're gone yet, but they are orange dots on them to go. They were told that this was the only place that they could put this was down there. They were going to put it out in Myra, but then they kiboshed that because the people didn't want it in Myra. Guess what? The people don't want it here either. They've asked New Dawn to come up with a new area. Now, I'm not sure why they haven't done that, because there's definitely other areas in Cape Breton, in the CBRM, that they could put it at. And let me just I'm going to pull me and Marie out for just a minute and pull it all off. I want to show you a couple of spaces that I think would be perfect for this to go. Okay.
Now, where are those places?
Those two places that I just showed there, Marie, are on both sides of the Cape Breton Regional Police Station. Now, the infrastructure is already there. They've got water, they've got sewage, and they can tap right into it. Across the street's the Mayflower Mall. They've got the Tasty Treat restaurant. Behind it is the Walmart. This is definitely a place. And I mean, let's face it, the type of housing that New Dawn is building in there, they need to have 24-hour people monitoring. Now, if you need to have somebody in that place paying a salary for somebody to keep their eyes on what's going on there, I think the best place for it would be at the police station, because it will keep them on their toes and would allow them to not try to just be laying all over the place, you know, getting high like they are now downtown. And as you've shown, downtown is an absolute mess right now. What do we have coming in downtown? Our tourists are brought to downtown. Our cruise ships are bringing people through the downtown to see what decrepitness we've blossomed into.
Well, the one saving grace we had was the heritage area. So I don't know what they're doing with that. They apparently are going to get rid of that, right?
They're going to get rid of that.
So the tartan down, I remember reading earlier something about it wasn't able to be actually done because the CMHC would not invest in it or wouldn't give them the money for them if it didn't have infrastructure already. But the places you just showed do have the infrastructure there. So why, like, was it the honest to God only place really? I would like does anybody know like why it really had to be exactly there? Because they own very many properties. Like New Dawn does own a lot, right? We have to understand that. They may be a non-profit, but they seem to hold a lot. And I understand they're here to help us. And I'm understanding that they do help a lot of people. So I don't want to put them down any for the things they do. Mm-hmm. But I do want us to be careful of like giving one particular enterprise so much control and power over one municipality. We had, I think, 3 other contenders for that 5 million. Did we not? What happened to them? I know it was the Seton project. I haven't even looked up the other 2 names because it's like, what does it matter? They apparently didn't even meet the criteria. What was the criteria?
Townhouse in Glace Bay had one in. And Marie, I actually had one in with a developer and housing designer in Niagara Falls. Yes, I was the 4th application. Surprise! Who knew?
Great tell. What happened to that, Janet?
Well, apparently, I'm not sure what took place. I don't know exactly what criteria we didn't meet, but you know,
they didn't tell you.
No.
What did you follow up and ask, or what kind of ditched it, got fed up, right?
It's kind of on a third party on my behalf. My land was the actual basis for it. The land that I was offering to, because everybody else in the community definitely offered up free land, right?
Yeah, like I'm very surprised. They just basically said no to your free land. How does that happen? Like, were you ever asked in for a meeting? Did you have an actual meeting with them ever?
No, I had an
I don't get
talk.
that.
No, I had a talk with the guy in the engineering department, the planning department, Mr. Keith Keynes, and he said that he would never approve anything for septic on my land, and basically I could go flush myself.
It's because it's a swamp, right? It's because it's swamp area, apparently, right? But who's your neighbor?
Well, I've got a couple of neighbors. One is Joe Curry, and the other one is, oh gosh, I can't even remember her name. I'd have to go back into it, Marie. But
they got septic.
No, everybody out there is on their own. It's all yours. You do your own septic and your own well. It's they don't have the infrastructure from the city out there at all. So you have to make your own infrastructure. But he said he would never allow me to make my own infrastructure.
And that's what I'm asking. So why?
Well, because he said so, Marie.
Well, Jesus, Mary.
I know.
Really?
He said so, and God damn it, as long as he's alive, he told me it'll never happen. Well, he doesn't know that I know.
He said it that way. He said that.
I've got the video on Cape Breton Originals.
No. Well, people, would you please look that up? Because I haven't had a chance to see that yet. I'm going to have to look at that.
Keith McKean video.
Wow, that's some kind of ego on him. So as long as he's alive, you will not be allowed to do that. Making it his personal mission against you, is he? Public paid employee or private paid?
And also, this is the best part about it. He also said my land wasn't worth 2 cents. Well, Jesus Christ, why can't they put him in the tax department? Because they're sure billing me a hell of a lot more value for 2 fucking cents worth. I can tell you that. So let's go back and see what else New Dawn wants to do for the community. Hold on.
Okay.
We're almost at the end of this one too.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
We're always really focused on impact, and
they're really focused on impact. Is that North End group, is their impact that what they're describing, hundreds of people describing the impact to them is something that they don't want? So if they're community focused and they're focused on the impact of others, how are they taking what these people are saying seriously? They've cut down their heritage trees. And I've went into the site. They did cut down the trees, Marie. They cut them down.
Oh, no.
September 11th. So they cut them down last week.
Oh, my. And what a day. Come on.
Right? They just cut them down. I mean, Fiona didn't take enough trees down on the island. They decided that they were going to take a few more trees down because, hey, they're only heritage trees over 100 years old.
I got a question. Where did they put those big ass trees?
Oh, they probably put them in the CBRM dump. Remember, we don't have no room for heavy garbage, but we like to collect trees.
Anybody who ever hears me ranting and raving, they know I get very upset about the fact that we do not have anything that we could have thought of better than putting all those trees in the dump. Anyway, we won't get into that. New Dawn, here we go.
Another little point to pick here with her video, okay?
Yeah.
Progressive positive change. And
so they're about creating progressive positive change. Now, I'd like a raise of hands, everybody in the North End who feels like they've gotten progressive and positive change with what New Dawn is bringing to your neighborhood. They're going to have in your backyard 24 vulnerable people who have been already assessed with mental health issues. God love them. We all have them, me included. A lot of them have addiction issues. And this is where the problem lies right now, actively speaking, in the North End. So I've heard stories and I've had people contact me about seniors just walking up the road to go and say to catch a bus because not a lot of them drive, or they're just going for a walk because they love their downtown area. It's beautiful and they like to walk to the waterfront. They can't do these things anymore without being harassed, without being bullied into giving them money. They can't walk down the road and even smoke a cigarette anymore, and they have to give their cigarette butts or have their cigarettes be taken from them by people who are in desperate need of a cigarette, who are people who don't have money to buy these things, and they shouldn't have to be put through this. And they told New Dawn these things. But New Dawn, well, they're all about the community.
Not just on the bottom line.
They're not just about the bottom line.
All right. Well,
some back information on New Dawn. This is the information they provide online, and you can go to the North End Heritage Group yourself and see exactly how this group has been impacted by New Dawn and their community first aspect. It's community last, finance first. They need to redo their video, in my opinion. But let's move on to an article, Marie. Would you like to? I will put it up.
The Fast and the Curious?
Yes. So hold on here. We're going to do Cape Breton Spectator, and we're going to talk about this. And I'm going to add it to the screen so you can see. All right.
Now, this was 2021. We wanted to make sure everybody knows why we're doing this, though. Why is it this far back? We want everyone to be sure that they're aware of this. Was kind of the scheduling that was kind of going on, was it not?
It was. So here's kind of what me and Marie have found into is before the federal government ever gave the CBRM the $5 million of the Rapid Housing Initiative money, it almost smells like it was talked about before it was announced to the public. It's like these companies knew it was coming, but we were the last to know. All right, so go ahead.
What about the other three, too? The other three nonprofits would have liked to know this ahead of time, too, so they would have had enough time to make a proper proposal, I would think. So, yeah. So it's Fast and Curious short takes on random things. This is Mary Campbell's little Spectator, the Cape Breton Spectator that we really like, and most people like if they like to know what's going on in our CBRM, specifically the CBRM. So this one's about affordable housing. I came across I came across a for sale listing for Sadler Court, the 36-unit apartment complex on Alexandra Street in Sydney, owned by New Dawn Enterprises. Sadler Court, as the New Dawn site says, brings together the convenience of downtown living, the serenity of a natural setting, and best of all, the peace of mind of affordable housing. The asking price, as you can see below, is $2.7 million. My immediate thought was, what are the chances this housing will remain affordable once it's under new ownership? I emailed New Dawn CEO Erica Shea to ask why they've decided to sell this property, one of 10 developments the organization owns across CBRM, and if she worries the units once sold could cease being affordable. Shea told me by email that when New Dawn entered the housing business more than 3 decades ago, there were few, if any, other organizations or individuals that had the capacity to build and manage these kinds of housing complexes. That isn't the case now as the community continues to grow and it begins to feel like we're starting to move beyond survival and scarcity. I'm sure there are other developers who could offer affordable housing, but do they? Have you heard the word affordable mentioned in connection with any local housing development recently? Because I haven't. Shea said they interviewed prospective buyers in the hopes of finding a buyer who would continue to take good care of the people living at Sadler Court. Some of these people have been part of the New Dawn family for decades, and so they were at the center of our decision making. And they believe the buyers they seem to have settled on, the sale is not yet final, are prepared to take such care. She then said that Sadler Court was not officially affordable housing. For some time now, the province has been moving from a model where they subsidize landlords' buildings to where they subsidize tenants directly, giving tenants more choice in where they live and allowing the subsidy to move with them if they chose to move. It remains an imperfect system with not enough subsidies, and the subsidies not being given enough to bridge the gap between 30% of tenants' income and the cost of rent in some situations. But the principle of giving tenants choice in where they live seems to be a good one. Any tenants who currently receive a rent subsidy currently would carry this over to with their new landlord. Sadler Court may not officially be affordable housing, but New Dawn has certainly been billing it as such. See above. And I think imperfect is a generous description of the problems with provincial rent subsidies, which any housing advocate can tell you are laughably inadequate. As for the principle of choice, it's too big a topic for this fast and curious item, but it's the argument behind a lot of very bad things like charter schools and deregulated power grids. But to be fair, this is a gripe I have not with New Dawn, but with the province of Nova Scotia, which has built on almost no non-market or public or affordable housing since the 90s, leaving low-income people free to choose from the province's inventory of naturally occurring affordable housing. That is older buildings with safety and pest issues. I hope for the sake of the Sadler Court tenants that the new owners don't, despite anything they might have told New Dawn in their pre-purchase interview, immediately jack up the rents. Deed restrictions. Speaking of affordable housing and government's role therein, I was reading about the municipality of Barrington, Rhode Island, which has established a $500,000 fund to allow it to purchase homes in the town, renovate them, and then offer them as deed-restricted affordable housing. According to local...
Why do we not have deed-restricted affordable housing? So here's what I think, because New Dawn is a community-driven non-profit organization.
Enterprises, yeah.
They also, every time they purchase something with public funds, should have a deed restricted access on it. Meaning, if you sell that to non-public for affordable housing, to any non-governmental organization, every dollar should be paid back to the public fund. Meaning that we are the ones, our taxpayer dollars is where this money came from. And now they can take our tax money dollars, turn it into their private dollars, and then it becomes their money to invest on however they want. How in the name of corrupt God is people getting away with this and not opening your eyes? But we've got some information for you guys. We're going to help you share and make sure that New Dawn gets under the microscope they deserve to. All right? Because it can't just be me and Marie and Mary Campbell that sees the problem here. Keep going. Sorry.
Nope, no worries. It's good you jump in like that. So, okay, so where were we at? We have, speaking of affordable housing and government's role therein, I was reading about the municipality of Barrington and their fund. Okay. So, according to Local Housing Solutions, a U.S. nonprofit advising on housing policy, deed restrictions are used for safeguard the long-term value of the community of the initial investment in affordable home ownership by limiting any subsequent sales of the home to income-eligible borrowers at an affordable price. Before you say that's too rich for the CBRM's blood, let me remind you that at the end of 2020, Canada's federal government offered millions of dollars in funding for affordable housing projects. Moreover, this week, the CBRM closed a tender sale for 69 properties, many of which have water and sewer service, at starting prices of $600 or 1 year's taxes, whichever is higher. Sadly, no one in the municipality suggested connecting those dots.
Wow.
Yeah. So the federal program benefited municipalities and nonprofits and First Nations that had projects ready to proceed. The CBRM had no such projects because we haven't been thinking proactively about affordable housing, although we should have been, because 3 years ago in January 2018, when we thought we might actually get a CBRM charter, CBU Professor Tom Urbaniak, I'm so bad with that name, proposed the notion of municipal land trust. As I reported at the time, Urbaniak's property idea is very cool. We could create a community land trust and take over vacant or tax delinquent properties, sell some, use the sales proceeds to tackle the delinquency problem.
Exactly.
But the closest, right? That would have been great. But the closest the municipality has come to viewing tax delinquent properties as a potential source of affordable housing seems to be the notion expressed by District 10 Councillor Darren Bruckschwager to the Post. Bruckschwager said that they are starting to see a trend of more mini homes setting up on small former company home lots. It's a little cheaper way for some people to get housing without getting into basements and foundations and all that, he said. There's more room for something like that, and they look great on these lots and fit well. I just looked up a new 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom mini home, and it would set you back $138,900. Now, this was back in 2021, don't forget. There's better models now and stuff, but
we can add another $60K onto that price today,
and for the ones they were looking at then, for sure. But there are better models out there now. But anyways, it doesn't matter. This was then, mind you, Bruckschwager didn't say affordable. He said a little cheaper, and that is the trouble, right? What is affordable and cheaper are two different things. People can't afford to live. That it doesn't matter if it's cheaper. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it.
And I mean, mini homes are rate safe in all the hurricanes with the climate change coming. Climate change or weather change, earth cycles, call it whatever you want. But the fact that we're getting blown to bits every time hurricane season starts is concerning. We don't want cheap, fall apart homes made out of as quick as you can put them together, as fast as they can blow them apart. No thanks. We need reliable housing.
That's a good point. I mean, it's great and all to have a mini home, but like what kind of a mini home? You really do need it to be something where it's not going to blow away, where it's not going to be damaged by our incredible winter winds too, right? We haven't even gotten there yet. So really, Minister. I think I actually missed, but so I guess we'll just have to wait for the federal government to open up a funding stream for municipalities looking to make housing a little cheaper for residents. Really, Minister. Nova Scotia's new Municipal Affairs Minister is okay with CBRM Council's recent closed-door planning meetings. According to the CBC, Brendan McGuire told reporters Thursday, as long as they're not breaking laws and rules and regulations within the MGA, Municipal Government Act, and they were told that they weren't, then the MGA is very straightforward. If they're following the MGA, then we're good. But according to the Post, he didn't himself actually approve the meetings. Personally, no one reached out to me to ask for permission. But he understands. They've had consultations with their own legal counsel who have a firm grasp of the MGA, and they were given the thumbs up by their own legal counsel.
Oh, goodness, their own.
We know how that goes in the past, but okay, whatever. Which is interesting for a number of reasons, not because Municipal Affairs told me last week that when in doubt about the rules and regulations with the MGA, a municipality should get independent, emphasis mine, legal advice on the matter, and now it's suddenly ask your municipal solicitor. The same municipal solicitor, Dimitri Kachafana, who sat through closed-door sessions with the previous council while they discussed their own salaries, an incontrovertible breach of the MGA, and who, let's not forget, threatened legal action against any councillor who publicly criticized him over this.
Oh, God. Really?
McGuire,
I'm a lawyer, and I'll take you to court and sue you. I'm not a lawyer. You can try and take me to court, and I bet you I'll make you look like the stupidest lawyer that ever fucking
Oh
Okay,
boy.
try.
So McGuire also apparently stated that the municipal affairs would get involved if there's any type of funds or programs that would fall under municipal affairs. But these are independent forms of government and they have to act independently, which
Mm.
suggests we're moving past that whole creatures of the province thing. So that's exciting. Honestly, how am I supposed to satirize? What is it? Satirize stuff that already reads like an episode of Yes Minister.
Uh-huh.
And so I think we're good with that because we're into the doc situation there then.
Okay, so we're
So
closing out of this guy and back down there. So let's go into some of our comments, Marie. So we've
all
got
right.
2 comments this morning. Let's see. Thanks, Catherine. So Wayne made it. Which contractor got the contract? Trees should be given to the people with wood stoves, but should not be cut down, but worked around. Environmentally, trees need expansion, not destruction. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And then we've got Richard Collis who says everything is a done deal in CBR and before the public is told about it. Well, we're finding
Good
out
point.
that's
Good point, Richard. Yeah.
quite the truth indeed. And then we've got Wayne saying, let's see here, private developers are about profit. There should be no subsidies for profit models as it is impossible to maintain affordable housing in a GDP, gross domestic product based system. The $200 per month subsidy gets eaten by greedy developers. The new units in Sydney Mines is like the P3 schools. Remember the P3 schools? We paid a whole bunch of leasing money and nobody ever owned them. But the developers who made them made a fortune off of them. And we gave them like 40-year contracts. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen times 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just be foolish about it because it was a foolish thing that we agreed to. So the new units in Sydney Mines, the P3, Jimmy Kehoe and New Dawn. Can you imagine? Jimmy Kehoe is with Jonal Jim, and they are the biggest contracting company on the island. And basically, they contract everything out through little subcontractors to do every single kind of job that relates to building.
You mean like the subcontractor, maybe like picket fences that Jim Kehoe owns over in Halifax, like that kind? Oh.
Exactly like that kind. Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm. All right. And to be in cahoots with New Dawn, I mean, how do you take a big, fancy private developer and mix them into New Dawn and they start doing business together?
Well, they tell you that's how they have to do business, right? That's just how it has to happen, which is why we want to know, why does it have to happen that way?
Because they won't look at any other ways to do it here in Cape Breton because they
Or
like
even look at another nonprofit to even give them a chance.
the money goes in arrow and goes back to this pocket. Then the money goes back to this pocket and back to it's just a vicious cycle of don't let the money get to the people. Don't you dare let the people touch that money. It's for the people, but not to the people. Let's be straight about that. All right. Right. Nothing without receiving profit or benefits in some way, says Wayne. And he's right. I can't. Okay, so we've got more information. Do we want to tell them more about New Dawn, or I think they've figured out enough about New Dawn?
They pretty much know, I think, like what our opinion is, but what is their opinion? Because I really want to know, like, does anybody know about this, how much they actually do invest or own things in our community? Like, I heard about Cafe Marie, piqued my interest. I want to go see this place. But where does that profit go when they profit? Like, I don't know. We got to look this stuff up. Is there a way, like, do we really have to call CRA and ask for an audit? I'm sure they have been audited by now, right?
Well, I mean, no, Marie. And the reason why I don't think they would have been audited, because remember when we looked at the information here? Hold on. I want to play a little song. Okay. Bear with me here. Present. This is a funny little thing, and I just think that you guys should all hear it because it's stinking adorable.
It should probably be the beginning of every one of your shows, like when it comes to anything political.
Oh my God! Stop fucking lying! Why the fuck you lying?
Yeah, so that's what we got to say about that. We want to know, why are you always lying? Every time it comes to putting up your own mission statement, your community is first, you're doing everything for the community, and yet the community is screaming, don't do it. So
pick another area, just any area. And there are many, like where you were saying, there's where all of the necessities for, like, there's your grocery stores and that, and it,
yeah.
I just think your idea, is there some reason anyone can think of why the area beside the police station on either side of the road wouldn't be a better idea than downtown? because I can't figure it out either. Like, it seems if you're just going to be going around and buying stuff up and I just don't know.
If you're truly
I don't know
committed
much
to
about it.
your community, like you say, your mission statement is New Dawn, put it beside the regional police, because the police are going to be steady called there regardless. Never mind haunting the seniors. Never mind destroying anything more that you've done downtown. Never mind having this be the first experience our cruise ship people. How many, if this community,
If they make it past Charlotte Street, they're going to end up.
here's what bothers me, Marie, is if we already have our residents being harassed and bullied and bummed, okay? Why are they not going to do this? Oh, we're going to put little stickers on our tourists, and those people in the vulnerable community, they're not going to bother the tourists. They won't.
Now, I understand people are going to get mad about that. They're going to say, now you're criminalizing these people without even, it's not that. It's not even that. It's just that people are saying we need to have more police as foot patrol down there. No, we got enough police. We've got enough police because we actually have least crime per capita, is what I just read, right? So we don't need more police. We just need where the problem is to be nearer where the police are. And I think that would make sense. I mean, they seem to have more need for the police than, like,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know, guys. What do you think? I really would like to know. What the heck is anybody out there really want to say, nope, you're absolutely wrong, Marie and Janet. They are the best thing that ever happened to our island. And this is why, and show me the evidence.
And if you
Please
work there,
don't just give me your opinion.
if you work there, you're biased. We're not taking anybody who works there because you're paid to say.
I'd even take that. I just want to see, well, where's your evidence that it actually worked and benefited the people? So that the fact that the $5 million was just given over to them, I feel like, is what's gotten to me. That's where I really want to just walk, because there's other nonprofits.
She says 100% right is what she's saying we are. So let's go in and see what a charitable organization. We've got some information right from the Revenue Canada site and, information there. So hold on, let's bring this up, because we would hate to, people think that we're just saying stuff because we want to. No.
Although we do that. I'm never going to lie and say we don't. But.
Oh, we can cite every source we used, and that's why we show it to you.
I know you and I do prefer to, although many people do just like to have an opinion and say, well, I worked there and I know about. No, show me something showing me that it was really beneficial to the community, truly beneficial, in a way where, wow, we don't have to really concern ourselves any longer. Or is everything you get for money just generating more ways for you to get more money in the future to keep your enterprise going? Because we have all kinds of nonprofits that are looking for some of these government grants and helps, and they're not even being considered. Like, that in-camera meeting was a little disgusting to me. And there are even two of the council members that I actually like are the ones that voted against it. Wow. And now I've got to rethink everything about, like, who it is that I've been trusting in and what's going on, really.
So they've whitewashed, brainwashed, whatever you want to call it. So let's just go in and see what Revenue Canada says regarding charitable organizations. There's a couple of things in here that really stand out to me. So charitable organization is established as a corporation, a trust, or under a constitution. It has exclusive charitable purposes, primarily carries on its own charitable activities, but it may also, do other qualified things, registered charities. More than 50% of its governing officials must be at arm's length with each other. I'm not sure what they mean by that.
What?
50% of its governing officials must be at arm's length with each other. So let me click on this hyperlink of arm's length. The term arm's length describes a relationship.
You're working together. You can't be talking to each other. You don't know each other.
Yeah, where persons act independently of each other or who are not related through the term not at arm's length. It means the person acting in conflict.
Okay. Well, that's all right. But they can't be working together. Can they have worked on projects together in the past?
Great question.
Because that's something where I'm going to be like, hey, wait now, hold the whole phone.
Right. So we're going to go in, and the very last thing that it said there, oh gosh, I wish I wouldn't have closed the hyperlink, because it closed the whole darn thing. It wasn't supposed to do that. Anyways, what we think needs to be done, because I remember, you're not allowed to invest back into yourself. So they're not supposed to be taking the money and selling the properties for profit. Okay. And then making themselves like a for-profit business. So they're getting the money from the government, from the tax-paying dollars, all right, as public funds. And then they're taking those public funds, putting them in their private status of their enterprise, okay? And then those funds are locked away again. So they take the things that they've used to get our government money, our public money, and then decided to sell those things and make it a profit. That is right against what they said in the charitable act. And you can go to Revenue Canada.
Are we reading this wrong? Or are we interpreting this wrong? Somebody out there tell us if we are and explain it better, because I'm hearing Janet and I'm hearing what she's saying. And it doesn't look good for us here in CBRM and what's going on, really.
Mm-hmm.
I see Dingwall as a CEO everywhere. I see his fingers in a little bit of everything. So he's not arm's length from anybody.
No, they're all joined at the arms, Marie. They're joined at the hips here.
Right.
And that is against the charitable act in the government of Canada. They're federally creating buddy systems, okay? And they're not supposed to, and yet they do. So we see that, and they are breaching that. So we're calling on all the citizens of Cape Breton to have them audited. So there is an auditing process. Now here's how a charity gets selected for an audit, okay? It's random. So the chances that these guys have been audited are not very good, because there's a very small selection that they audit. 1%, okay, of charities are audited in Canada. Okay,
that's something. Wow, I didn't know that. But I guess they don't do a lot of auditing, really, right? I guess of anyone.
In the grand scheme of things, they have literally over 1 million charities in Canada, and they only audit 1%. 1% of the over 1 million charities are audited in Canada, unless they get complaints from the public. Okay. See where I have highlighted here? Complaints from the public. They need another referral from somebody else in the CRA office. That's not going to happen, because there's, in the random selection, we haven't got enough time to wait for a random selection. We need to act.
A random selection. A random selection of 1 million.
Right? How does the CRA audit a charity? Well, let's see. Two main types of an audit: the field audit and the office audit. The size and complexity of a charity, as well as the issues involved, often decide the type of audit required. We, as a public, we need to have CRA focused on New Dawn, and we need to have an actual audit done. The field audit is done on the charity's premises. They go there, and it usually lasts between 3 and 5 days. It'll include examining the charity's books, their records, their bank accounts, their contracts, their governing documents, their annual reports, their board minutes. It will all other documents that are relative to all of its activities. We need this done, people. Okay. The auditors will interview the charity's directors and ask questions. I believe Erica Shea is quite the talker, but let's just see if she's quite the provider of the documentation that I think that they need to.
I would like to believe she is, because she's been there for a while, and wow, that would be bad, right? For all of us to have to find that out the hard way.
Exactly. So the purpose of having this done is so they can be accountable. They are telling us that they are accountable, and they are not. They are accountable for taking our money and then hiding it away from us like they're squirrels hiding their nuts. Well, you know what? This squirrel's gone crazy. I want to know where you're stashing our nuts. Okay.
Where are you? Jesus.
Okay. Tool says 100%. Look at Nova Copper. And that's another thing. We found out that Nova Copper and a Nova Corp and a bunch of other. Oh, we've got another story coming.
That's another we're just trying to lead ourselves into something that everybody should really know about. Let's all be aware of what nonprofits are and all of that kind of thing, right? But we've got other things on the go. We've got to just figure out a little bit at a time here.
Right? Oh, it's definitely a funny thing, Amy. Honest to God, I'm telling you. So we need to, again, like Wayne's saying, this bunch has been planning since 2007. Nova Copper has been planning to put that mine over in Coxheath and whatnot, but we don't want to talk about that. We just want to let you know that there's things going on that are really hidden from us. And as the public, how are they able to keep these things away from us when they are working for who?
They're supposed to be working for us.
Where? Are you sure, Marie? I think there's something wrong with their job description and the role of what they do.
Hey, like, they're really good at actually saying things out loud. Like, what was that? The proclamation of transparency, essentially, is what that was at that meeting that poor Glenn Farouche was made to read.
Exactly.
And poor thing, he has the same issue as I do when I'm trying to say our mayor's name. but I'm getting better. Mary Amanda M. MacDougall Merrill. What?
It's a real tongue twister, and Marie's been
Hey,
practicing.
I've been having my time with that.
I've been practicing it too, and I've
I'm
shortened
much better at writing it though, right? Is that not right, Amanda? Come on now. I'm much better at writing it than I am at saying your name. We all know how many emails you got unopened from me out there. Please take a look.
So we love how we send emails and ask for information, and it's like crickets. So how are we in, what is this, National or Transparency Week? It's Transparency Week.
It's over now. We missed our window.
Oh, darn. Well, what were they transparent about? This was the week that they had all their meetings. I love their meetings. They put them on YouTube and block the comments. Well, gee whiz, I've got my things run on YouTube and it runs on Facebook, and I welcome comments. How are we having our public officials representing our community needs and us as the community have
I don't know.
together? We're not allowed to talk. Well, how do they know?
Well, we could show up at their meeting, I guess, in person. Maybe we should be doing that.
Oh, because they'll come out and shake our hand and tell us they really want to hear what we're thinking now?
I'll tell you, I have to chase down my council member and drag him out in the middle of a photo shoot to get him to even answer me. And then he acts like he's going to answer my emails. Like, yeah, you really will. And James Edwards, you never answer my emails, man. What is wrong with you? What is right? It's been years.
Right? Gordon
Some of the things are not even mean. Like some of the things are actually, got some questions.
Gordon, didn't he tell you publicly on Facebook he was going to respond back to your email and then crickets?
Facebook, yes, he responded on Facebook. And I told him, I said, boy, this is just like what the mayor does to me, answers me a little bit on Facebook, makes me look a fool. Then I go into my email and there's either nothing or the questions I asked have not been answered in any way.
So we're going to
you know what, I got a lot. That's not true because, the last time I wrote to the mayor, I did actually get something back. And the problem was, I don't think she actually read my email. I was asking about what the plan is for the trees if they blow down any more trees, if we have any more of these hurricanes and stuff, because the last idea of putting them in the dump and making them into sawdust sucked, in my opinion. Yeah. So, but she actually sent me a thing about something like fill my bathtub up with water or stuff or whatever, like where they show you the planning for a hurricane. There's a whole site, where it can show you do this, do that, or whatever, if you were having this issue. Like it's actually a good site, I think, for the most part. From what I was reading, I did look at a few of their videos, quite a few videos. Listen, but nothing to do with what we're going to do about the actual community's problems if, the trees come down again or anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll cross those trees when they block the path, I suppose. Yeah. So
we could be making bridges out of those damn trees, Janet, is the point.
Well, hey, they did that back in the old days, Marie. It was cost
effective. We could have used them. We could have used them was my point, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't benefit anybody right now. I mean, they don't have contractors and developers that they have friends with. They don't have any arborist buddies. What do they care? So let's talk about the part of, Mary says, what part of rapid housing don't you understand?
Oh, right. Okay.
John was given that $5 million check that they hollered and cried for because Patty in Townhouse in Glace Bay wasn't good enough. And then you said that other Sturgeons or whatever that group was.
Seton place. Seton. Yeah, that's a nonprofit apparently.
They weren't good enough. And then for me, what we were going in was, let me just quickly remove this and I'll show you. The ones that I was going to do was actually with the developer in Niagara Falls, and they were places that have everything. You could grow food in these places. You could literally, they pick these places up and move them here. And for some reason, they didn't want to bring any actual pods of housings here. Okay. So in this first picture, this is a bunch of shelving that's built right into the home that has lights and growing pots. So literally in your own kitchen, you're growing your own food. How dare I would even think to do such a thing? What was I thinking? You miserable Cape Bretoner, you.
Even one of those as a prototype here on the island would be a great idea, I would think.
Yeah, well, it was slammed down. They only care about how it helps their buddies and how to keep the money in the same circle and the same people. All right. Because if it gets out of that loop, then they start to lose control over the community, and they're not helping the community. They're controlling the community. So these are the types of places that I was going to have put to my property, and they said no. They were in look as let's get back to Mary's rapid housing thing again, okay? That's why I wanted it, because what I had in mind was instant. They're already built. They're in a storage facility up in
Drop them
Ontario.
off. And Wayne had another good link of I forget what they're called. Wayne, what was the name of that? They were really cool pod houses though, and they were all over the place.
Yeah.
All right. What part of rapid housing don't you understand? Is this article from March in 2023? Okay. Because it shows this actual timeline here of what was going on with everything. Last Friday's emergency CBRM council meeting has been well covered in the local media, leaving me with one angle, secrecy. That I still feel has not been adequately explored. But first, let's recap recent affordable housing history. 2020. October 27th, the federal government launches the Rapid Housing Initiative, RHI, delivered by the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, as part of its 10-year national housing strategy. The RHI the RHI takes a human rights-based approach to housing, serving people experiencing or at risk of homelessness and other vulnerable people under the NHS, including women and children fleeing domestic violence, seniors, young adults, Indigenous peoples, people with disabilities, people experiencing mental health and addiction issues, veterans, 2SL LGBTQI+ individuals, racialized groups, and recent immigrants of refugees. That seems to cover just about everybody in the world. 2021. November 2021, CBRM Council holds a special session on affordable housing, during which it hears from Dr. Catherine Levitin-Reid on affordable housing homelessness, and New Dawn CEO Erica Shea on the Seton School Affordable Housing Project, and significantly, the difficulties faced by nonprofits in accessing capital for affordable housing projects. So they have something to do with the Seton Housing Project as well? Anyway,
yeah,
I'm gonna have to look that up.
So they must not have had enough. The Alley Center must have been going to give New Dawn more control than the Seton Center was. There's absolutely a balance that didn't take place. They liked the proposal better from the Alley Center than they did from the Seton School. Has to be.
What was that? Okay. So 2022, November 10th, CBRM, thanks apparently to lobbying on the part of local MPs Jaime Batiste and Mike Kellaway, receives $5 million through the city's stream of the RHI. November 22nd, CBRM Council proclaims National Housing Day as a reminder to all Nova Scotians that access to safe, sustainable, and equitable housing affects our collective mental health. And to have mentally healthy community, we must work together to ensure every member of our community has a place to call home. December 9th, Council meets in camera to discuss the RHI funding, citing contract negotiations as the reason for secrecy.
Freeze. Wait. So let's remind everybody what in-camera means. What is an in-camera meeting? An in-camera meeting sounds like it's being recorded and the public can see it. Is that what happens?
It's opposite.
Opposite, meaning that in camera is in secret and nobody can see what happened. It's none of our business.
Unless they're over at the Benyon Club and you and I are looking through the window at them. We could see them, but we couldn't hear them.
Let us in! That thing? Yeah. Yeah.
December 20th, CBRM Council votes to accept the funding and directs staff to issue a request for proposals, RFP. Request? What is it?
Request for proposals. That's right. And
December 29th, CBRM issues an RFP, request for proposal. Now we're back. Now here we are in our year 2023 finally. So see, this has all been known. Who did they mention way at the top there? Erica O'Shea, because she knew all about this, right? So they have their whole proposal out there and being planned. So they know about it, but does anybody else who's a nonprofit is my question, other than the Seton Foundation, who seems to be in cahoots with. So who else knew?
Nobody else needed to know, because secretly in this in-camera meeting, they knew that it was going to go to New Dawn. They just didn't know who New Dawn was going to put under their little New Dawn.
Right. That's what happened, right? Because they weren't sure which one. And once it became the Alley Center, that's when the new in-camera meeting happened. And oh, no, you're not getting nothing, New Dawn.
So here's
it's all very dirty, no matter what we do.
I think Erica Shea took a little off-camera vote of who looked more desperate. Did the Seton people look more desperate? Did the Alley Center clients look more desperate? Or did the home, whatever the one I set out in Glace Bay, God love her.
Townhouse.
Thank you, Townhouse. Which one? which one would make them win. Well,
And it seems like Erica and the mayor were quite close. Like they were exchanging emails right before the in-camera meeting, and all of these things were going on. From what I had read, there's an article.
so she had to choose the group that would make sure that they were guaranteed to get that $5 million, because they're all about taking in the money to make sure that they can make sure that that goes into their bank, which becomes public money equals private money once they got their hands on it. So the public money for rapid housing, and it's so rapid. Why do I not see any of this? They're just cutting trees down now. Come on.
Well, it seems bizarre. I know. Okay. So here we are in 2023, and it's unfortunate that nobody else was told all about this little plan to have 5 million given, and with the rapid housing and all, because the RFP closes. So fast forward to March 7th, council meets in camera, contract regulation, or it's contract negotiations is what they called it, to hear the staff's recommendation that it fund a new Dawn Ally Center of Cape Breton proposal to build a 24-unit safe, affordable, staffed, supporting housing project for a diverse array of Ally Center clients, those most at risk at homelessness in the CBRM, which is what the rapid housing project money was for. But we have many, many who are most at risk right now.
Right now,
I mean,
if the rapid housing cold molasses project, they need to rename it. It's not a rapid housing. It's a cold molasses project. Let's.
All right. So the project is proposed for 26 Stewart Street off Myra Road. Right?
A lot of money out in Myra. They don't like it. I don't like it.
After 3 hours of discussion, council comes into public for just 11 minutes, just over 11 minutes, and votes 6-4 to reject the recommendations. This I find interesting too. I hate when these meetings happen and this is going on. Councillors Darren Brookschwager, Ken Tracy, Cyril McDonald are absent. Brookschwager is on extended medical leave. McDonald, it will turn out, was homesick. It sounds like homesick. And Councillor Tracy's whereabouts have yet to be accounted for publicly.
Aww.
So then they show the actual vote, and, they're showing, basically what happened here. Present was 10, for was 4, against was 6. And then, of course, what they're going to show, oh, darn it, Marie, why'd you do that? Because you know what happens when you do that, Janet, because then it pulls you right out of the G-Galley article.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Hold on, that's okay. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Still driving me crazy, though. Think of this.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, show of community. Holy, so sorry, guys. Sorry about that. I went out of it. So they're all absent. We looked at what the vote was. March 10th, CBRM Council holds an emergency meeting during which it's agreed that all 4 RHI applications received in response, did I miss something here? To the RFP will be forwarded to CMHC for vetting, as the corporations has agreed to extend the CBRM's deadline for beginning the project to May. The vote is unanimous, although councillors Brookschwager, Steve Parsons, who is traveling on business, and Tracy, whose absence is not explained, are not present.
Now, why would they want to forward that to the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation? In what sense would the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation give 2 stinks about Cape Breton? They're Canadian Housing Mortgage Corporation, not Cape Breton Caring Housing Mortgage Corporation. Like, it don't make no sense. So let's take the decision off of our hands so the community can't hold us accountable, and we'll just give it to an independent, non-biased party and look like we're heroes. No, you look like zeros.
Okay. Show of community. Friday's meeting lasted half an hour and consisted chiefly of councillors complaining they hadn't asked for this 5 million. Imagine this. They didn't have enough time to properly vet the proposals. They didn't have enough support from the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC. They didn't have enough support from the provincial government. The municipality doesn't have the resources to deal with this sort of application. Housing is a provincial responsibility, and residents didn't understand her concerns.
Oh my God. Sounds like a bunch of smoke
It's crazy. This is silly.
Pass the buck. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
go good.
These attempts to blame anyone but themselves for the shambles they'd made of their RHI application culminated in the truly farcical moment when District 3 councillor Cyril McDonald, who had missed the meeting during which the projects were discussed, although he assured everyone he would have voted no, leaned into his mic in tone, "Shame on CMHC." In this, McDonald was accepting Mayor Amanda McDougall Merrill's framing of events in which the evil, nasty, not very nice CMHC, with its terrible deadlines, had relented in the face of a public outcry, which she chose to believe was directed against CMHC and not her and council. The mayor looked at a gallery full of people carrying placards saying things like, "Help us, we are so cold," and pronounced it a pretty remarkable show of community. A less heroic interpretation would be that CMHC has agreed to move the goalpost. 40 other Canadian municipalities are expected to meet to accommodate the organizationally challenged CBRM. Can you imagine what's being said about us around the water coolers and the CMHC these days?
Oh, yeah. Inept, inept, inept. It's a new song.
We are made fun of enough already because they think we're begging for money when actually I've got my own argument about that, as does the NSEF and Janet. But anyways, helpless, helpless, helpless. As for the claims that CBRM Council had no support in its deliberations back in December, when Council first publicly discussed the funding, think of this, they had a lot of time, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe I don't know much. Mayor McDougall Merrill said she'd been speaking with Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, John Lohr, who had told her the provincial government was prepared to support the initiative and fund the operational side. CBRM CAO Marie Walsh also said she was comfortable that the province would cover the difference between the very low rents and the amount needed to operate the facilities. Furthermore,
wait. She's comfortable that the province will give money to offset fees.
I like the fact that our CBRM municipal accountant has decided that she's very comfortable with what somebody else is going to pay to us.
She must meant she was comfortably sitting on a couch full of pillows or something, and then just rambled that next statement about after something different. Going.
Okay. Furthermore, Mayor McDougall, Furthermore, Mayor McDougall said she had had the chance to speak with Halifax Mayor Mike Savage, whose city had already received RHI funding and who offered the expertise of his staff to advise the CBRM on the project selection and delivery. McDougall said HRM had put some of its RHI money received at the height of the pandemic when construction costs were soaring into a contingency fund and was also able to access additional funding through the federal Reaching Home program. How that translated into nobody helped us with our application boggles the mind. Certainly, the province was having none of it. Acting Municipal Affairs Minister Colton LeBlanc issued a press release, and we should take a look at that in a minute, on Friday, stating that the suggestion the province did not support the CBRM and his RHI funding is a complete fabrication, and that his department of officials have been working with the CBRM and CMHC to find a solution to the problem. It was very disappointing to hear CBRM placing blame rather than taking accountability for their flawed actions, only to reverse course due to public pressure. Council also fretted over being left holding the bag for costs associated with the project, but one of the very few crumbs of information we were allowed to know about Planning Director Michael Roos' recommendation was that it stated clearly that the final contract with the proponents should contain language relieving the CBRM of any liability for funding shortfalls, capital overruns, or operational shortfalls.
Wow.
And in its application, New Dawn states, should we go over budget, New Dawn will assume responsibility for securing the funds required to complete the project. And we anticipate reaching an agreement with the Nova Scotia Department of Community Services for long-term staff and operating unit costs funding for the project.
Wait, so not only do they want to have this $5 million for these slowly non-rapid houses to be built, but next they're going to have their hand pulled out again, asking for community services money to help them fund units that they are getting 100% zero cost to them. And now they want money. How many people are out there on welfare that would love to get some extra money for, I don't know, rent, groceries, just clothing, and they can't even afford groceries? And we're going to not only give them the $5 million we've given them, and they're going to get a full-time employee around the clock to work in this building. How many buildings right now?
I don't know.
Getting paid.
I don't know. Oh, I'm looking at it. I just don't understand it, right? I'm hoping people out there who are listening to this today can clear us up on this. If we are wrong in any way, that this seems a little.
Here's the thing: they sold other buildings. Hold on, let me take us back out of here again. I want to show people these buildings that they removed or that they sold because we're in bad shape.
They were selling it with
Wait.
So
You just
hi, this is me. Hi.
on buildings that were up that are being sold. Did that building look like it was in bad shape to you? Because I've lived in this municipality my whole life, and that looks like it's in fantastic shape.
Compared to the places that I've been brought into, yeah, I just can't even imagine.
Mm-hmm. So
I think I'm calling bull crap on that, because really, when you look at, okay, you're selling all of those units and now you're going to ask for the 5 million to gain some more units, and then you're going to probably sell off another. For years, we've been seeing New Dawn trying to be selling off units. Now, many times the deals will fall through, it seems.
Oh, they must be asking too much money for it. And whoever.
Well, I'm not sure what's going on, because when you're a nonprofit, you're able to go in and, for instance, you could get surplus land, and then you get surplus land for even cheaper,
right?
as that other nonprofit has been doing, right? What is the name of them?
Oh, you don't mean no. I can't think of them, Marie.
It's okay. We'll come up with that another time. But the point is, we like, this is what happens, right? Like, if you're a nonprofit, you literally can, like, say, like, you can go to council and you can ask, just as they do.
Yeah.
The person who was asking wanted Birch Street to be a housing project. And so this was a couple of years ago, and she was given it. She got the property for $1.
Oh, the St. Mines woman. That lady.
Yeah, Kalanko.
Yes, the Sheila
Kalanko. So she got it for $1. And then I'm like, okay, great. So there's some friggin' housing somewhere from a couple of years ago. So I start looking it up, and I can't find it anywhere on Google Map. And I write Lauren Green, and Lauren Green said, I sent you the email, right? Basically, yeah, there's no housing on Birch Street, Marie. So I'm like, okay, so what's going on? Did she actually, is she still holding the land, or did she give it back to them? Because I think you have to give it back if you haven't used it for what you said after a certain period of time. So I'm just wondering where that went and what's happening, right? Well, that's one example.
Is she a property manager associated with New Dawn?
She's not associated with New Dawn that I could find yet, but I haven't really looked her up that far. But she's Sheila Kalanko. She is a property manager. She's a legal, not a lawyer, but paralegal. Yes. Yeah. So that's what I found out about her so far, that I was just like, well, I'm just interested, right? Because you know me, I'm boring as hell, and I watch the council meetings because, you know. Mm-hmm. And there you go. I'm watching these things and going, I'm a little confused all the time. I'm all the time confused. Council and mayor could tell you. They got like emails full from me of all my questions that I never get a reply to. But I've got many questions, and so do you, right, Janet? Like, I know you do.
And whenever Marie and myself send emails or ask for any of these things to be the questions turned into answers, we get crickets, because they don't feel that our questions deserve answers. Who do we think we are? Who do we actually think we are?
I guess it's almost like when I overshare on Facebook, as some people call it. You know, like I'm oversharing my emails to them with too many questions, apparently. But I have questions, and I feel like I'm deserving of answers, at least once in a while. Once a year would be good. You know, I'm just so surprised all the time at it, because every once in a while I'll see something on Facebook where they'll reply, and I'm thinking, what the fuck are you doing on Facebook? You get back at your emails right now and answer me.
Emails to private.
I don't mean to be upset, but it, you know, come on, that's disrespectful to me. Don't be showing the public. I do answer you. You do not answer me. You do not. You're just being mean there. You know what? You're making me look foolish. And everybody out there is like, no, yeah, it's you making yourself look foolish. Well, maybe so, but I believe that I have a right as a citizen to have answers to the questions I'm asking. And I've been asking many questions for many years. And Janet, you do the same. And every time that we people like Charles Sampson or Wayne O'Toole or anybody who actually has honest to God queries to how the municipality is being run, they act like, who do you think you are, and why are you writing me? Why do you think you are entitled to any answer. Or maybe my questions are too complex in the way of that, like it would take a little bit of research on their part to actually be like, oh, okay, this link you sent me. All right, I'll get into that later. Right? And I get it. Like they don't have time for all that shit, maybe, but
No.
just look at the actual name of it and like on your own time, like peruse the idea and just say, hey, yeah, okay, I looked at that. No. Or I looked at that and absolutely not. Or I don't care, just something.
Exactly. All right, so let's continue on. I think we're at I cannot.
And we anticipate reaching. So I cannot understand why these assurances wouldn't be good enough for our council, except that spending on social infrastructure like affordable housing seems to be viewed very differently from spending on, say, renovating sports facilities you don't actually own, or operating sports facilities that you don't actually own, or implementing 5% across the board tax cuts that leave 3.6 million holes in your municipal budget. And the hyperlinks are all there, you guys. You should take a look at this article. Take a look at them yourself because it's all there, right? This isn't being made up, these figures and facts. This is research done by somebody I respect a great deal.
Exactly. So let's talk about NIMBY, not in my backyard. So again, we're going back to the north end. The
I've been called NIMBY lately. Somebody called me that on Facebook. I was just like, what is that? And I looked at them. I am so not NIMBY. I am so not that. Not in their backyard, though. Not in a senior's backyard where they are very concerned about what's going to be going on, and they have enough to be fearful of when their rents are not being capped in any which way. They are at the mercy of the economy like everybody. And now on top of it, they got to concern themselves with going outside for a smoke. Come on.
Homeowners down there, Marie. Majority of these people own their home and they're being invaded. They have no more mental peace. They have no more going out and enjoying their neighborhood, because now when they go out into their neighborhood, because of, downtown has been polluted by non-desirables, to say the least. When you walk by and you see people smoking crack and jabbing needles into their arms, I'm sorry, I'm not going to acclimate myself to liking or even getting used to seeing that. No, I won't.
I'm not sure how on earth we're supposed to really fix what's going on down there right now with the way things are, because it's everybody pitted against each other. Mm-hmm. And I know that that's not any way to get a solution. It's got to be everybody with a different point of view got to come together at a table and say, look, what are we really doing here? Really, are we going to give this over to New Dawn and the Alley Center to go and destroy one little neighborhood that doesn't need to be destroyed when we got an entire area right over by the mall, the Walmart, and yes, okay, the police station too. But seriously, all that they need is there, really. They actually have to walk quite far for the needs that they have to get down to the grocery store. You think about it, like they got to go through quite an area there. I'm just thinking there could be better planning.
The parade route to make everybody happy. I have another solution to make everybody happy. Might not make the police happy, but when they're called 15 times a day to go and, fix this problem, well, they won't spend much in our taxpayer gas, will they?
I was just going to say, save the taxpayers. Save.
I'm
right?
all about the saving. Save now.
I don't understand how this hasn't been considered. Is there something going on beside the police station property? Can someone explain to us who owns it? Is it the municipality's land? Is it?
Here's the thing. It's vacant land and it's empty. So it's already cleared. It's already ready to build on, and they can tap into the infrastructure that's at that humongous mall or at that humongous police station.
Don't forget that golf course. That's why they don't want it there, Janet.
Right? Exactly.
Oh, they're more worried about the golf course than they are about the seniors and the trees. That's what's going on. You hit the nail on the head, girl. I was thinking it was the police station and it was offensive. You're right. The golf course. Mm-hmm. Now you're on to something, girl. There you go. There.
I'd put it right in the middle of the golf course if I could.
Jesus, I would. Four.
Yeah. All right. So let's get back to the article and wrap this sucker up.
All right. It is NIMBY. It seems pretty clear, however, the money is not the key stumbling block for the dissenting councillors. New Dawn CEO Erica Shea told the CBC she really hoped with every fiber of her being that the councillors' concerns about the New Dawn Alley Center project weren't of the not in my backyard variety, but listening to District 11 Councillor Gordon MacDonald and District 5 Councillor Eldon MacDonald on the CBC's Information Morning Cape Breton on March 9th, it became very clear their concerns were NIMBY all the way. Councillor Eldon MacDonald, besides telling host Steve Sutherland they'd learned about the money earlier in the year, which is not true, suggested there was a need for community consultation about the location of the New Dawn facility. He then took the opportunity to share complaints he had received about the Alley Centre's office in the downtown core, saying he's had numerous calls suggesting it is destroying downtown Sydney and should not have been permitted to open there. Remember downtown Sydney before the Alley Centre opened, untouched by the advent of shopping malls and big box stores, unaffected by landlords who preferred empty buildings to lower rents, well maintained in terms of sidewalks and asphalt, welcoming of pedestrians and cyclists alike, a North American urban miracle, really. Both McDonald's argued that the site chosen for the project, which they portrayed as a Shangri-La off the Myra Road, populated entirely by seniors, was not the place for a supportive housing facility. And may I just note that what a disservice they do seniors by simply assuming they would oppose such a facility, by not even considering the possibility these same seniors may have struggled with addictions or mental health issues themselves, or watched friends and family members struggle and might actually be supportive of such a facility. Kind of got to disagree there. I don't often disagree, but anyway, just because I've spoken to some seniors and so have you. Anyway, both exactly. McDonald's, what's that?
Exactly. I've personally spoken to the seniors who have messaged me and told me
you've got messages from them.
Bullied. And some cases they're being, if they're smoking a cigarette, taking it right out of their hand. Are you kidding me? I punched them right in their face.
Some people say that that's people who are just nervous and making up stories and it's not truthful. No. But from the people that I'm hearing from, and I'm going to tell you, I take public transit, right, quite a bit. So I see myself as I'm down there. Things are not copacetic like the way they like you to believe. That's not really cool. I mean, I really thought at first. I look at the ugly mug sometimes too, like that poor little cafe, and go, "You poor buggers. Did you ever know what was going to be happening around this area? Like, who bought that? And maybe that's owned by the municipality. I don't know who the heck owns it, because who would ever invest in an area there?"
Obviously, there's a problem downtown, Marie. Why, if you go into the Irving on George Street, the bathroom has lights in there, so you can't find your vein to shoot up. That's not random. That's because there's an epidemic, a pandemic.
Well, they wouldn't want that in the Mayflower Mall. Think of it. That's what's going on. They wouldn't want it in the Mayflower Mall or over near the golf courses or any of that. So that's what's going on. They're thinking, well, as soon as they go out wandering.
The Mayflower Mall has security, Marie. Okay. So
yes.
That's a difference. And the police station, they will keep them people secure. We'll all be safe and happy. And it won't be NIMBY. NIMBY, you know?
Unbelievable to me when you say it that way too. It's because it's so true. It seems like so much more sense to it. Somebody out there, tell me that we're wrong here. Why in the hell didn't they consider something like nearer the cop shop, near the mall where there's a Walmart behind there, where there's, the last thing that people need when they're actually addicted is to actually be out in the middle of an urban area, out by the woods, out by the trees. You want to go somewhere, walk through the tree area, go friggin' to Walmart or somewhere, go across the street to Mayflower. I don't know, but why in the hell would you want to be down in depressing downtown Sydney around all of those tourists coming off of the buses? I got buses in the head. Boats, right?
I want to show them that cool video you did of how downtown looks today. Right now. Right this minute, this is exactly what downtown looks like. So hold on.
Oh, God, don't shout, because, oh, my God, the flack I got from that.
I don't care. It's true.
You people in the rant room, you're right cruel by, I tell you. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I'll be right back at you again tomorrow.
Keyboard warriors mean nothing.
Well, I'm a keyboard warrior, they call me, but I'm really not actually that. I'm actually somebody who does a keyboard here and there on the warrior here, but then I do my research over there, and then we don't know. Going to become of all this. There's our beautiful area of downtown. I think that's near where the college is.
Downtown, no finer place for sure. Downtown, everything's waiting for you.
Charlotte Street during tourist season.
Things will be great when you're downtown.
Gross.
The
Where you at, Janet? There you go.
only thing that's missing from that video are the people the Alley Center are trying to help, which is going to be drug intravenous users.
Yeah, I would never do that though. I thought about it at first and I was like, no, I can't do that to people. Not going to show that. But
Right now, go drive by Townsend Street, up a little bit from the New Moon and across from the Sydney Credit Union. Ask anybody who goes to the credit union how uncomfortable they are, and ask how many people have left the credit union in Sydney because they don't feel safe going to their bank anymore. Okay? They're being harassed and bummed at the bank. They can't be seen taking $1 out of that bank and they're being harassed. Are you kidding me? And this is we're supposed to call this normal? That's not my normal, and I will not accept it.
it's not normal at all. And I'll tell you, this has been the worst I've ever seen our downtown, obviously, with the construction as well as the Alley Center issues. Something I found interesting, though, when I was walking my family around there, trying to show them our beatific island. When the cruise ships were in, it didn't seem there was as many people around the Alley Center. 2 days in a row, I noticed that. Any day there was not a cruise ship, it was overrun. Can somebody tell me, are they noticing that there's like a lack of homeless visible
Well, what are they doing?
on the streets? I don't know. That's why I'm asking, because it was 2 separate days where William and I said, where are all of the homeless people? Because we were there the other day and they were everywhere. Oh, they're not here today. I said, oh, there's a cruise ship.
Maybe they took them for a field trip to Two Rivers.
I started thinking, is it possible that the police round them up somehow? Or is it, oh, maybe they give them free meal days? Is there free meal days where they collect them up and because something's going on, because it was 2 days where I noticed, and I'm not talking in a row, it was like separately where we went. And so I'm watching how many are there on the days that it was probably a big coincidence, but I was freaked out because I was like, where are they all at?
I know.
Anyway.
Downtown. Well, they already have it on Townsend Street, and then they've got that open use center in front of what was the old Salvation Army, and then the Alley Center. There's 3 places currently right now that are enabling all, I don't know what you want to call it, open junkyism. I can't say it in a way that doesn't sound horrible, okay? Because it's all.
The thing is, I think, and you're speaking from someone who actually lost a family member to this miserable ship. So it's not like you're sitting there going, I don't understand it.
No.
You understand. It's like, but I mean, there's got to be some kind of actual help given. And I see New Dawn has something there like counseling services too, or whatever the Alley Center does. I think we need to be putting our money more towards actual help, like actual people who are trained to help these people to move onward. I mean, not only that, but they need to be looking at programs to get them out of a city urban area. Nobody in an urban area is going to get well when everybody who uses is right there with you. You need to leave the situation and where you're at. You can't all be together. That's my personal experience from people I know that,
with drugs intimately myself when I was a teenager and getting into trouble, from my brother dying, from seeing what his children and my whole entire family has gone through with the homeless, with the drugs, with all of it. Him being in a tent city, dying in the tent city. Like, I could cry right now just thinking about it.
Yeah, no.
They are putting Band-Aids on our problems, and I'm so mad, angry about it. Me and Marie have many more shows. We're going to wrap it up today because it's been over an hour. Thank you all for tuning in. But I'm telling you right now, if you got mad today, you share this show, because we need to stop letting it go under the carpet and being hidden. This is a real problem. And until we actually do something about it, nothing will change. Okay. Remember that. If you want change, change starts with addressing that there is a problem. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Janet, Marie, appreciate you all tuning in and following us. Have a good week, and we'll see you back next Sunday at 10 a.m. Don't forget.
See you then.
Bye, girls.